Hey guys, and welcome back to another Pixelmon 100 days. So, in today's video, we're going to be doing ground type only challenge. So, throughout this video, I'll be catching many different types of ground type Pokemon and making the best possible ground type team that I can. And as always guys, if you do enjoy the video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and without further ado, let's jump right into 100 days of ground type Pixelmon. So, as always, I jumped straight into the world of Pixelmon, picking up my starter, which I decided to take Mudkip. After loading into the world, I had a little look around. There wasn't too much around because I spawned in a forest. But after jumping on top of a tree, having a little look around, I found a desert, so I headed over and found an ultra space wormhole. So I quickly gathered up some wood and tried to make my way into the portal. But I tried several times but just fell through it every time. And then after trying to go through it a third time, the portal disappeared, so I continued my journey. After heading into the desert, I decided to try and level up my Mudkip, but I got absolutely clapped by a high level Diglett. So I quickly scurried to the nearest Pokemon Center and healed up Mudkip. After stealing all the potions and everything from the Pokemon Center, I headed over to the Pokemart and found out that you can now buy booster packs in Pixelmon. This was super cool and I wanted to save up to buy myself some Pokemon packs. So I sold all of the potions that I had managed to gather from the Pokemon Center and bought one booster pack. And also a couple Pokeballs as well. I then decided to open up my booster pack, getting a Pikachu, a Dark Arbok, Pokemon Trainer, Digger, Aerodactyl, Articuno, Kingler, The Boss's Way, Mewtwo, and Recycle. This was an awesome new addition to Pixelmon, as I love collecting Pokemon cards in real life. I then headed back out and decided that I would go and level up my Mudkip a little bit more. I then found a Sandile and a Trapinch, so I caught them both. I then managed to find an Arceus shrine, which had a massive primal Groudon inside of it. It looked like it was just trapped in there, so I didn't want to mess with that, so I just left it and continued my journey leveling up Mudkip. Until eventually, he evolved into a Marshtomp. But the view was a bit cooked on this one, sorry there guys. After finally getting Marshtomp, I headed through to the Rock Gym. And I started on defeating all of the trainers, getting myself some pretty good levels on all of my team. One trainer after another, I was defeating them pretty quickly because I had my Marshtomp, and using Water Pulse pretty much one-hit most of the Rock-type Pokemon. Until eventually I managed to get all the way to the top, facing it off against a level 14 gym leader. And once again, with the common trend of the rest of the trainers, I cleaned this gym up pretty quickly with Marshtomp. And after quickly sweeping through the gym with Marshtomp, I finally managed to get the Boulder Badge. After defeating the gym, I then headed out and did some raid dens, finding myself a new Hisuian form Growlithe den. But for some reason, whenever I defeat a den now, I'm always just getting Essence, which is used to craft Pokemon packs. I'm not sure how I feel about this because I've defeated quite a few dens now, but I really enjoyed getting all the loot and being able to catch the Pokemon. After doing a couple dens, I then decided to try and catch a hippo, but unfortunately I only had a few balls and it managed to break out. So I headed back home to the Pokemon Center. I then bought myself a whole stack of Pokeballs and set up shack inside of a Pokemon Center. After setting up a house, I then headed back out to try and catch a new hippo. And what do you know, I managed to catch it in the first few balls. Now I've got this chunky hippo to add to my team, becoming my 4th member of the ground type team. After searching around a little bit more, I then managed to find another ultra space wormhole, so I towered up with sand, headed inside, and went exploring to find all types of different loot. Whilst heading through the ultra space, I encountered a wild drillbur, which I managed to catch in the first ball, adding the 5th member to my ground type team. I then came across a legendary Zamazenta, but I left it alone because it wasn't a ground type and I ain't going to be catching that. I then found an Ultra Space End City and managed to get myself an Elytra and a bunch more loot. But while I was fighting in a boss tower, I accidentally fell off while in a battle, meaning that once I had finished the battle, I got teleported out of Ultra Space. I then healed up my Pokemon and headed out to do more dens. And I kept on fighting the dens because I did eventually want to get a pack from the essence, but it still is a little bit underwhelming doing the dens now. They kind of suck, I'm not going to lie. And while on my travels I found a Sandygast, so I caught it and eventually had 6 Pokemon on my ground type team. And whilst I was catching the Sandygast, a wild Suicune spawned, so I went and said hello, punched it a couple times, and then left it. And then a Mega Boss Manectric spawned, but luckily with my Sandygast being a ground and ghost type, the Manectric didn't have a single move that could hurt me, meaning an easy win, getting myself my first Mega Ring. After getting my Mega Ring, I headed into the Savannah biome to catch myself a Nidoran. I then encountered a Mega Boss Gengar, but it used a Parasong, which means that it will only survive for 3 turns, unless it switches out, but obviously it's a wild Pokemon so it can't switch, meaning that I defeated a Mega Boss Gengar, getting my team some pretty good levels and some decent loot. I then found a boss tower inside of a swamp biome, which would be pretty good for leveling in the future. And unfortunately, after grabbing the Pokeloot on top, I only got a Super Potion. I then encountered a wild Quagsire, so I caught it because it's a pretty strong water and ground type. Just in case I ever decided to switch out my starter, I'd have a perfect replacement. After catching the Quagsire, I then continued my journey and managed to find a Gligar. I had to catch this because Gliscor is one of my favourite Pokemon. After catching Gligar, I then found the ground gym, so I headed inside with my Marshtomp and decided to do a bunch of leveling. So now you guys get to enjoy a really sped up version of me just going back and forth, fighting the trainer, healing, fighting the trainer, until eventually I had a bunch of levels. And then during my leveling process, I then had my Sandal evolve into a Krokorok. After finally leveling up all of my team, I then decided to go travelling on my hippopotamus, and I finally managed to find another village which spawned a Zacian in. So I went over and tried to defeat it, but unfortunately I got absolutely destroyed. I then decided to try my luck in the electric gym, and whilst defeating all of the trainers, my Drillbur evolved into an Excadrill. After making my way to the gym leader, I figured it was going to be a super easy fight, since I had ground types and electric moves were not effective against me. But I was very wrong, and I got absolutely clapped up by the gym leader, so I decided that I'd move on and come back to it at another date. And then after doing some research on how my Gligar would evolve, it needed a Razor Fang. And I read wrong on the Wikipedia and thought that Gligar was dropping it when it was killed, so I spent the next few days just wiping out the entire existence of Gligar, only to then be told by one of my friends that you don't get them from killing Gligars. So I wasted a long time. After finally making my way home, I then got a task from one of the NPCs that involved the Dynomax band. So throughout my journey, I would be defeating 84 Pokemon and capturing 32. I then had a bunch of money, so I bought a couple booster packs. And while I was playing through, I completely forgot that I'd already beaten the Rock Gym. So I ended up taking on the Rock Gym again. Obviously, it was super easy for me because I had a bunch of Pokemon that would absolutely destroy Rock-type Pokemon. But yeah, I kind of forgot that I'd already taken it on. So here's another little montage of me fighting all of the trainers. I mean, hey, that is a silver lining though. I managed to evolve my Marshtomp into a Swampert. But once again, the evolution screen was just inside of the Pokemon, so you didn't really get to see the evolution of that one. After Marshtomp evolved, I continued just fighting all of the Rock-type trainers because there are so many inside of the Rock Gym. But it's always good because, after fighting a bunch of them and getting about halfway up, my Hippo evolved into a Hippowdon. And I won't lie to you, he looked pretty awesome. And following the trend, it looks like Krokorok wanted to evolve too, because after getting my Hippowdon, I then got a Krookodile. And I gotta tell you, Krookodile is one of my favourite ground-type Pokemon as well. And eventually, after making my way through the entirety of the Rock Gym again, I then eventually managed to defeat the Rock-type gym leader, getting myself the Stone Badge, which technically was a different gym badge from the last one, so I'm gonna count it. I then figured I should get on with the Dynomax quest, so I ended up for the next few days just defeating and catching as many Pokemon as possible. Whilst on my journeys of defeating Pokemon, I then came across a Mega Boss Blaziken. And with the common trend with all of the boss Pokemon so far, they just don't seem to have any moves that can affect a Ghost ground type. So I just kept up Palossand and ended up defeating it, getting myself some good loot again. And after defeating the Mega Boss Blaziken, I headed back out and decided to keep on fighting and catching as many Pokemon as possible. And to my surprise, while I was fighting a bunch of Pokemon, I managed to get a Razor Fang from a wild Crobat, which I looked up online is extremely rare to find, so I must have got super lucky. So I gave it to my Gligar, fed him a rare candy, and eventually got a Gliscor, and he looked awesome. After heading back to the professor that gave me the Dynomax quest, I was then told that I needed to fight trainers. So I headed out onto the ocean, as I figured that most of the trainers ended up being swimming trainers. Whilst waiting for a bunch of trainers to spawn, I did a bunch of raid dens. Once again, pretty underwhelming because you only get essences from them. But it did do the trick because a bunch of trainers spawned, and one after the other I defeated them pretty quickly. And after defeating so many water trainers, I finally defeated the last one, and my quest updated telling me to go back and talk to the professor. So once I made it back, I spoke to the professor, and she gave me a Dynomax band. After getting the Dynomax band, I equipped it, and then decided to open up a bunch of packs. I'm not gonna lie, the packs were pretty cool, although there wasn't really much for me to do with them in single player, since I'm assuming that it would be more of a sort of pack battle, although I've got no one to pack battle with. So I just opened them and then got pretty excited for some of them, and then just left them in my chest. After opening up a bunch of packs, I then headed out and did a bunch more raid dens, gathering up as much essence as possible. All of the raid dens I did were pretty easy because they were all like 1 stars and 2 stars, so I quickly wiped them out, and I just figured that I'd show you guys which raid dens I did. I then managed to run into a mega primal Groudon boss, which I decided that I would try and fight, but I don't know why I did because it was level 99 and the rest of my team were like 40s to 50s. I got absolutely destroyed, and then he just flew into the air after I got beaten by him, and then I realised that was just his jump, which is pretty crazy. I then quickly killed a boss Houndoom, getting myself another Mega Stone and a couple rare candy. And then I decided to take on a level 4 Scizor den. After beating the den, I then found an Ultra Space wormhole, so I headed back in, gathering up as much loot as possible. And after looting all of the end cities and fortresses, this is the loot that I came out with. So basically just a bunch of like diamond armor, loads of enchants, loads of diamond tools, some decent stuff. So for the first part of this clip, I wasn't recording because it was just a boss camera up, I didn't think much of it, and then it gave me a Master Ball, so I quickly recorded that last bit for you guys. So for the next couple days, I AFK'd on top of a desert hills biome because I was eating food, and eventually, after AFKing there for quite some time, I came back to a Groudon spawning, which is absolutely insane, so I decided I would try and catch it. Then I realised I didn't have my Master Ball on me, but I managed to catch it with a Pokeball, which was absolutely insanity. So after catching it, I got out the PC and added Groudon to my team straight away. After making my way back home, I then had a raid den spawn that had a Groudon in it. And obviously now you can't catch them from the raid den, so I used my Groudon against it and defeated it pretty quickly. But this is what I kind of mean about the raid dens. I've just defeated like a legendary and I didn't really get anything for it. And whilst out exploring on my Gliscor, I then encountered a legendary Tornadus. Obviously this guy isn't a ground type, so I decided to defeat him. I then think, without realising, I stumbled across my hardest challenge in the 100 days for ground type only, the water gym. I defeated the first gym trainer pretty quickly, but then when I encountered the second one, I got absolutely destroyed because the gym trainers, they match your highest level Pokemon, and obviously because my highest level was Groudon, all of the Pokemon were level 70 and the rest of my team was quite low level. So I spent the rest of the next few days just grinding on this one trainer until eventually all of my team were pretty even levels, so that I was able to quickly go through and defeat each trainer one by one, until eventually I got to the gym leader. But once again, the gym leader did face a pretty hard challenge, meaning that I got defeated by him quite a few times, and it wasn't the best until eventually I managed to figure out how to defeat him and beat him with my Groudon, getting myself the Cascade badge. After making my way outside, I then defeated a Mega Boss Garchomp, getting myself another Mega Stone. And whilst I was on a roll after being on such a high after defeating the Water Gym, I tried my luck against the Electric Gym, which I pretty easily took out very quickly, which was great because obviously I got absolutely destroyed by it earlier in the 100 days. Honestly, I need to start recording my voice throughout these because I sounded absolutely hilarious while I was defeating this Electric Gym. It felt so good to get the Beacon badge after getting destroyed so badly by him before. It was so good just defeating him so quickly, and after beating him I decided that I was just going to steal the beacons as well, just in case I wanted to make a cool house. I then continued the trend of defeating raid dens, and then got absolutely clapped by a Mega Boss Glalie. Whilst travelling around, I found another gym. It was the Fire Gym. So I headed inside, defeated each different trainer one by one, until I eventually managed to get up to the gym leader. After getting into the gym battle, I swept through it pretty quickly because obviously I had a Swampert, so I made quick work of the Fire Gym, getting myself the Volcano badge. And after putting it in my shulker box, I'd managed to accumulate 5 different gym badges. After heading down into the village, I then got another interesting quest from an NPC. And it was telling me that I needed to bring 5 different types of Pokeballs to this NPC, and they give me a pretty cool reward. So the first type of ball was a level ball. So I bought level balls from a Pokemart, and then I just destroyed them as quickly as possible so that I could recraft them, completing the quest instead of just having to build them all. This is what I ended up doing for every different type of ball. But to save you guys some time, I'll just show you every single time that I brought back the 5 different balls to the NPC. This was a pretty tedious quest, so after bringing back the first level balls, I had to bring back friend balls, then I had to bring back lure balls, and then moon balls, and then after the moon balls it was heavy balls, after the heavy it ended up being fast balls, and after the fast balls we then ended up bringing love balls, and after the love balls I'd finally given the NPC every different item it would need, and I was just told to come back to it at a later date. So whilst I waited, I headed into the Steel Gym, defeated the trainers pretty quickly, because with my Groudon, after I Dynomaxed him, I had Max Flare, which practically one-hit all of the Steel-type Pokemon, making my trip pretty easy through the Steel Gym. And after finally facing the gym leader, using Dynomaxed Groudon, I'm not gonna lie, made it very easy to get through the gym. And eventually, I managed to defeat it, getting myself the Mineral badge. After defeating the Steel Gym, I still had time to burn, so I headed over to the lava, and did a bunch of fishing, because when you fish in lava, there's a chance that you get red shards, and if I managed to get enough red shards, I'd be able to make the red orb to then get a primal Groudon. But unfortunately, after spending a whole day there, I didn't have any luck. I then headed back to the NPC, but she was stuck inside of a bunch of different NPCs, so I had to dig a massive hole, and then eventually I managed to talk to her. And she gave me the GS Ball, which is used to summon Celebi, the mythical Pokemon. Whilst exploring again, I came across the grass gym, so I headed inside and defeated some of the trainers. Until I came across a room full of apricorns, and since I didn't make an apricon farm yet, I decided to just steal all of the apricorns from this place. I then continued one by one defeating the trainers pretty quickly, until eventually I managed to come up against the gym leader. I took him down pretty quickly and managed to get myself the rainbow badge. After defeating the grass gym, I headed into the forest and managed to find an Ilex shrine, which is used to summon Celebi. So I used the GS Ball on it, and of course Celebi spawned, which I managed to catch, but obviously I can't use it, so I just put it in the PC. I then headed back to the NPC to claim my final reward, and it was the most underwhelming thing I've ever seen. I got these Icy's golden hourglasses, which are used to speed up like breeding times or something, so completely irrelevant for this journey, which kind of sucked. Luckily, my streak of bad luck ended, and I managed to find a Mega Boss Swampert, which I finally managed to defeat after Dynomaxing my Groudon, getting myself a Swamperite, meaning that I could finally Mega Evolve my starter Pokemon Swampert. And I can't lie to you, I really do love Swampert's Mega Evolution, it looks so good. And after Mega Evolving my Swampert, in the background I then saw a Mega Boss Gengar. So I quickly defeated him and managed to get myself a rare candy and an Omega Shard. And since I was on day 99 by now, I then found the Glacier Gym, so I quickly took it on and defeated it pretty quickly, getting myself the Glacier badge. I then put my badge inside of the shulker box, making that the 8th gym badge that I managed to collect. So I was pretty happy with everything I'd done on this 100 days, so I got out my team, and that was the end of my ground type 100 days on Pixelmon. And as always guys, I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you're hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel for future content. And without further ado, I'll see you guys in the next one.